Today we're going to look at this book here, which is Questions Young People Ask, Answers That Work. This is a booklet given out by our friends the Jehovah's Witnesses. This is volume 2. I'm here today with Sharon the Rebel.
Hello.
And we are going to have a look at one particular chapter, very important one. How can I keep my mind off of sex? Now, I'm sure, Sharon, you agree that most young people ask themselves this all the time.
All the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. How can I keep my mind off of sex? I would actually think that the thought that they think of more is, how can I think more about sex?
How can I get some sex?
How can I get some sex?
How can I have some?
Yeah. Where can I get some? I think he's found it, but getting on to page 1. Okay. It starts off with a quote. I don't think this is a real person. I find myself thinking about girls all the time, even when they're not around, says a young man named Michael. It's ridiculous. Sometimes I can't even concentrate. Now, he sounds pretty surprised there, don't you think?
Yeah, it's almost like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How can I stop thinking about it all the time? It's like an obsession.
That's right, and it's seemingly only Jehovah's Witness kids have these thoughts of
no one else
abstinence.
has these thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Do you, like Michael, spend much of your waking hours daydreaming about the opposite sex? It's never the same sex, is it? That doesn't exist in their world. If so, you may feel that you're at war with your own brain. I think Homer Simpson has that problem, doesn't he?
Yes.
He's quite often at war with his own brain. Thoughts about sex may march into your mind like enemy soldiers. These thoughts can consume you, says Michael. Wow. I've never really heard a 14, 15-year-old sort of talk like that. But
no, most 14, 15-year-olds are kind of into football or music or
sex.
Yeah, sex. Yeah.
They can make you take the long route to your car just to pass a cute girl, or get you to walk down a store aisle when you don't really need to, just to take a closer look at someone.
Heaven forbid that you should actually. You're in Tesco.
Yep.
You think, what do I need? Okay, I don't need biscuits to be healthy. I need to have some fruit. You think, well, actually, no, I'll take a detour down the coffee aisle. Don't drink coffee, but there's a nice-looking person down the coffee. Walk down there, that, in the eyes of the Lord, that's a sin.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. You don't need coffee. You shouldn't be drinking it, but you walk down there, just have a little peek at someone, maybe a little flirt.
I think that's awful.
It's dreadful.
And it shouldn't be allowed.
It should not be allowed.
Makes you wonder why God put those desires in us in the first place.
Why?
Especially at that young age.
Yeah, at 15.
Well, we can ask him one day when he...
Yeah, we'll ask Michael.
Yeah, we'll ask God.
Oh yeah, we'll ask God. We'll ask God. God, why did you do this specifically to Michael? A young lad in his prime.
Yeah.
In Tesco, shopping for fruit, and you make him walk down the coffee aisle so he can have a look at someone he fancies, which he shouldn't do. He should push that urge out of his mind. He shouldn't have those urges. He shouldn't be looking at girls.
Mm-hmm.
Should he? He shouldn't be looking at. It's a sin. He shouldn't be looking at them.
It is. It is condemned.
It is. It's impure.
It is condemned. Remember, though, that sexual feelings aren't evil in themselves. Oh, hang on.
Okay,
perhaps we're wrong.
Right. Sorry, judged too quickly.
After all, God created man and woman to have a strong attraction for each other, and satisfying sexual desire is proper within the marriage arrangement. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses, as you know, are very big on, save everything for marriage. I mean, maybe you can hold hands, but you shouldn't really date unless marriage is pretty much already, you've sent out the invitations already.
Pick the dress, the shoes. Yeah. But then how do you get to know someone then?
Well, that's a point, yeah. I mean, I know one Jehovah's Witness family. I don't know if they're actually still in it, but the boy who was barely out of his teens, of course they're not allowed to even date, and he ended up marrying the girl next door, who was a JW, or down the road. They got married very quickly, and then of course they got divorced within the same year. And this is actually very, very prevalent within Jehovah's Witnesses, because they don't have freedom of sexual expression, so they rush into a marriage to somebody they're not in any way compatible with, sexually or in any way, and then get a quickie divorce. It's rife, unfortunately. So, while you're still single, you may experience intense sexual urges. If that happens, that should be when that happens, don't think that you're inherently bad or that you're just not cut out for moral cleanliness. You can be chaste if you choose to be, which most teenagers, of course, they're obsessed with that, being chaste. But being successful at your endeavor will require that you keep thoughts about the opposite sex under control. So gay kids are okay. Yeah. Because they're thinking about the same sex.
So, yeah, there you go. That's
There's a loophole. Okay, how can you do that? Okay. Now this is something JWs, they really like stressing, is to stay away from non-JWs. I think this is what this is going to say. Examine your associates. If your classmates start to talk about immoral sex, which could very well happen, don't you agree?
It might.
In this day and age. You might be tempted to join in, just so you don't stand out as different. Really though, this will only make it more difficult for you to control your thoughts. What you should do, let's see what we should do. What should you do? Just get up and leave? Certainly you need not feel awkward about doing so. Oh, this is great advice. So, you imagine a bunch of girls, a bunch of guys just talking innocently about sex and all that. And, the teacher's got a nice pair of,
melons.
And then Michael says, friends, I'm just going to walk away now because this is corrupting me, corrupting my little mind. Yeah. His friends won't beat him up later.
Oh, of course.
No.
They're not gonna take the mickey out of him, are they? At all?
They'll admire Michael for his,
well
his
done,
fortitude.
Michael.
Well
standing
done.
Up in abstaining.
Yes.
Yeah. Well done, Michael. You've done really well there to get up and walk away and to isolate yourself from everyone.
Yeah, because
well done.
Jehovah's Witnesses are no strangers to isolating themselves. No. Shun immoral entertainment. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the friends. Now it's the CDs and the movies. Of course, not every movie or CD is bad. I can see where this is going. Still, much of today's entertainment is designed to arouse improper sexual feelings. Well, sex sells, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's never going to go away, The Bible's counsel? Let us cleanse ourselves of every defilement of flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in God's fear. That's 2 Corinthians 7:1. Right. Steer clear of any entertainment that might stimulate immoral sexual desires.
That's pretty much everything after children's TV.
Yes,
really.
that's
so
pretty much any movie.
You can probably watch Peppa Pig.
I don't know. Aren't they sort of pink and naked, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I guess.
Or do they wear? Does Peppa Pig wear clothes?
She does wear clothes. She wears welly boots.
But there is some flesh still exposed, isn't there? So I don't know.
I guess any TV really, other than songs of praise, is off limits, isn't it?
Well, songs of praise is mainstream apostate Christendom. It's not.
So that's off limits as well.
Yes, that's off limits.
What about the news? Can you watch the news?
I don't know. Probably not. We'll have to ask our JW friends on the high street about that one. But I suspect the answer is no.
Well, plus they might get aroused if it's a female.
That's right. Yeah.
Michael might get aroused by her.
Yeah. And the females might like the male weatherman or something. You don't know.
Can't watch the weather.
Now, here's a surprise. There's a section here on masturbation. Okay. The problem of masturbation. I've never found it a problem myself, but they seem to think it's a problem. Okay, some youths attempt to alleviate sexual arousal by means of masturbation. Now, there's something not quite ringing true about that sentence. Some youths attempt to alleviate sexual arousal. Shouldn't that be all youths?
Yeah, I'd say most.
Unless you're asexual.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're...
Or don't have genitals.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say most most youths. Probably from the ages of anywhere from, I don't know, 14 onwards, maybe 15 onwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was quite precocious. It was 12 for me.
Gosh, that's young. but fair play.
But serious problems can result from this. Well, I'm not surprised. The Bible urges Christians, of which Jehovah's Witnesses are apparently Christians, although mainstream Christians will not agree with that. Deaden, therefore, your body members that are upon the earth, as respects fornication, uncleanness, and sexual appetite, hurtful desire, and that sounds kind of painful, doesn't
I
it?
can just imagine someone.
Is that really saying what I think it's saying?
Deaden. Just kind of conjures up images of someone kind of shouting, "Go down! Go down! Go down!"
Are they talking a chastity belt
yeah,
here, or a strong piece of rope, perhaps? Or
something, something very, very uncomfortable.
Ice might do it for men and women. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely women, I can imagine a chastity belt.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and once you're married, then your husband
Electrified.
gets the key.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you go, darling. There's the key to my chastity belt, and come on then. We're married now. We can do whatever we want. And I look at each other, and go, "Oh, I don't know. Okay." But yeah, that sounds quite painful.
Well, apparently it's in Colossians 3:5. Masturbation is the very opposite of deadening sexual appetite. Indeed, it stimulates and nurtures the appetite. Does a 15-year-old need to be told that? Yeah. Oh, look at this. Look at this, a little example. Would you allow viruses to invade your computer? Then why invite immoral thoughts into your mind? Well, viruses sort of get into your computer because it's going to happen. And the same with sexual thoughts. You know, it's going to happen.
But surely it's like a virus is something someone's created. Someone else has created to put on the computer. Sexual thought is something you have for yourself. Yes,
but it's people like you women who parade around tempting us men. You see, just by the very nature of you being women. You see.
No, we have to have some purpose in life.
I mean, you've read Genesis recently, Sharon, so you know it is the woman's fault.
It's all my fault. As a woman, I take full responsibility for eating the fruit and...
Yes, not an apple, it's a fruit, yes.
Yep.
Let's get that clear. Okay. Oh, is this Michael? No, this is Scott. Okay. This is Scott, strapping young lad there. What helps me to change the subject, get my mind off the thoughts that cause me to feel excited? Oh, what helps me is to change the subject, to get my mind off the thought. What? I remind myself that feelings or urges will go away in time. This was not written by an adult. This is written by someone, 14, 15, 16. So he said, what helps me is to change the subject. So he's in bed at night, no one's around, you know, he's got his hands under the covers. And he wants to rub one out. And so he thinks, I'm going to count the dots on my wallpaper. That's really impressive. I mean...
That's a good way to, good distraction, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of lads, they do that. And women as well. I mean,
you know, you're lying in bed and you think, feeling quite horny. You think, no, I must not. So you think about something, you think, okay, well...
that is a body massager. It is not anything else.
No, it's not. It hasn't come from anywhere like Ann Summers.
No.
Or any kind of mail order catalogue.
Yes.
Not going to mention anymore. You think, okay, what should I do? Okay, I've got to take my mind off it. I mean, I've got glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. So I should probably lie there and just count them. Yeah. Best thing to do
much more fun
is to read your Bible.
Yeah.
That's a good distraction, and always good, from a sort of point of view.
I mean, after all, Jesus was a manly sort of man, wasn't he? I mean, he didn't have any need for women in his life at all. He hung around with 12 men. There was John, the beloved disciple. Okay, let's move on from that. Okay, masturbation can make you a slave to your desires. Okay, what's that? Oh, Titus. Titus 3:3.
Oh, that's a really unfortunate name, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, if you was to read it and not be that good at reading, you could read it and say, oh, Titus.
Titus. Even the 3:3 looks a bit booby there,
Booby,
you know,
oh
doesn't
my
it?
word.
Yeah. So I hope,
really unfortunate.
again, speaking from man's point of view, you know, I don't think anyone should look at the words Titus or 3 or the number 3, because it does.
It could give you very impure thoughts.
Memory sort of
Yeah.
inspirations. One way you can start to conquer the habit is to confide in someone, which again is what, you know, we don't have to tell kids this.
No.
They know to do that.
Yeah.
Mom, I want to rub one out again. What do I do? Happens all the time.
Yeah, I can remember my brother all the time, saying to my mum, Mum, I don't know what to do. I keep thinking about sex all the time. My mum thinking, oh, don't worry, dear. Go and think about something else. Go and
counted all the spots on this wallpaper.
Yes. Have a look at your posters and read your posters.
I've read the Bible cover to cover 6 times.
Yeah.
Read it again.
Yeah. Always something you miss.
A Christian who struggled with masturbation for several years comments, again, this is a real quote, "How I wish I could have summoned the courage to talk to someone about when I was a youth. Feelings of guilt plagued me for many years, and it seriously affected my relationships with others, and above all with Jehovah."
No. His relationship with Jehovah is in tatters now because of that. Because he couldn't confide in anyone.
Yeah, and if I was him, I'd be too scared to ask Jehovah. I mean, why did you put these sexual urges in me in the first place?
Yeah.
At a young age when, we're too young to get married for those years. So you're telling me to wait till marriage, so how do I...
How do I suppress those urges?
Yeah.
Suppose this, whoever it is it Scott or is it someone else?
We've moved on from Scott. I think this is just a Christian.
Suppose a Christian.
We'll call him A.
Suppose A never meets anyone. Suppose he goes through his whole life, never meets anybody. He's supposed to suppress his feelings.
He can be celibate.
Yeah.
A lot of Christian men are celibate.
Yeah.
And women too.
And women.
Nuns, of course. They're married to God.
Yes, they are
apparently.
married to God.
Yeah.
It's a good marriage.
Yes. Okay, so whom should you talk to? Oh, it's getting good now. A parent is often the most logical choice. Would you seriously? No. Or perhaps a mature member of the Christian congregation. So that's right. So if a young woman or man, early teens, think about sex all the time, they'll go up to a mature member of the congregation, take them aside, and talk to them about sex. You can get arrested for that.
Yes, you can. Yes. I actually find that quite worrying because...
Yeah.
Suppose...
I'm talking about, the actual mature member. You don't know what they're like,
You hope that they've got,
Not that sex scandals go on in the church.
Oh, never, no, never.
Especially not in the Jehovah's Witness thing at all. No, there's no. Peterful. Okay, right. Okay.
I can't imagine going up to my mother. Bearing in mind I'm past that, puberty phase, a long time ago. I'm not going to mention how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. I can't imagine going up to my mum and saying, "There's someone that I really, really like, and I'm having these really impure thoughts. Don't worry, dear. Just don't think about it. It'll go away. You can wait till you get married."
Wouldn't that work?
No, probably not. No, I think my mum would say, "It'd be nice if you found someone and settled down. Not at 15. You can't. You're too young. You can't get married at 15 anyway. It's illegal, isn't it?"
Yes.
It's 16, but you have to have your parents' permission at 16.
That's it. That's the problem.
I can't imagine. I just find that.
But it says here you could start by saying, "I'd like to talk to you about a problem that's bothering me a lot." You can just hear the mom saying, "Oh God, the sex thing again."
Yeah.
Because that happens all the time. Oh, here's Andre. This is a new character. Andre talked to a Christian elder. Of course, we have elders in Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls as well as in the Mormon world, and he's glad he did. As the elder listened to me, his eyes filled with tears. Andre says. What was he doing to him? When I finished, he assured me of Jehovah's love for me. He told me that my problem is a common one. Duh.
That's probably why he's crying. He's probably thinking, I need to get some too. I feel your pain.
I've been suppressing it since I was 14. I'm 45 now. He promised to check on my progress and bring me some more information from Bible study aids. We want to avoid aids, really.
Yeah.
Talking with him, I resolved to keep up the fight, even if further relapses occurred. Relapses?
A relapse.
Why would sexual desire and thoughts and everything and experimentation, why would they use the word relapse?
That sound
makes it...
It almost makes it sound evil. It makes it sound like it's...
It is.
You know, it's something that's so natural. A relapse. I think of a relapse. I think of someone who's... the only conclusion I can come up with is someone who's like an addict.
Yeah.
You know, an addict will say, I don't know, like a gambling addict or an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, they'll lump them all together.
Yeah, and they'll you know, they'll be clean, they'll be fine, and then all of a sudden they'll have a relapse. But I mean, that is a proper addiction.
And unfortunately, kids will grow up feeling very, very what's the word? Not stigmatized, but they'll have a problem with their own sexuality, whereas they should celebrate it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's almost like, you know, you're not meant to, you know.
Yeah. It's just going to make it worse for them. It's going to make them screwed up.
Like you say, stigmatise. It's going to stigmatise them. They'll have this kind of complex throughout their lives.
That's the word.
You know, oh, I can't think about sex. It's evil. It's impure. I can't. I've got to get rid of these thoughts. And really, it's just part of growing up.
It's like saying, I've got to avoid blinking. It's evil. And of course, you're going to blink.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just a setup for disaster, isn't it? Oh boy. Oh, well, we got a tip here.
Oh.
Tip. If you've relapsed into the habit of masturbation, don't give up the fight. Analyze what led to the relapse and try not to repeat the same patterns. So boys, don't look at tits.
Yeah. Don't look at porn. Yeah. Don't ever look at porn.
No, because it's just so freely available on the internet now. Yeah. You know, showing.
Best not to get a computer, really.
Yeah.
Or a mobile phone, or a smartphone. You get a mobile with the keypad and get an old phone. You know, you can text and make calls, but do not get a smartphone. Do not get anything with the internet enabled on it, because
even the word smart is evil, really.
It is smart. It is evil.
Yes. You don't want smarts. No. Oh, here's another lad. I think it's a lad. All seems to be for lads. Mario decided to talk to his father, who proved to be very sympathetic and understanding. These are real stories, Jazz.
Wow.
He even admitted to Mario that in his youth he himself had found it difficult to overcome the habit. Well, blow me down! Another male who had masturbation problems.
Bet they didn't have the internet in his day.
Yeah. Where did the temptation come from?
I wonder.
I don't know. My father's honesty and sincerity encouraged me greatly, Mario says. I reasoned that if he had been victorious, I could be too. I was so moved by my father's attitude that I broke down and cried. There's a lot of crying in this.
There is a lot of crying, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotion going on here, and I wonder if it's suppressed feelings.
I think because he hasn't jerked off for about 6 weeks. I mean, he probably would cry.
He's probably please. He's getting his emotion out that way.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting to the end, I think, here. Like Andre and Mario, you can find help in your efforts to conquer the habit of masturbation. Isn't that great? Even if you encounter setbacks, don't give up. Be assured that you can win the battle, because it is a battle.
It is a battle, yeah.
It is a battle.
Yeah.
It's all hands-on, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not hands-on, literally. Yeah.
Hands off.
Yes, hands off.
Controlling your thoughts. Now, here's the easy part. The Apostle Paul said, I pummel my body and lead it as a slave. Okay. Similarly, you may have to be strict with yourself when improper thoughts about the opposite sex, never the same sex, seem to invade your mind. Okay? If the thoughts persist, again, I have trouble with this word if, try some physical exercise.
Go for a run.
Yeah.
Go for a run, or go and
Preferably in the desert where there's no
Yeah.
opposite sex.
Yeah, you don't want to see a
People.
woman running towards you. If you're a man and you're trying to suppress it,
Yeah.
last thing you need to see is a woman running
So an
towards
unpopulated area
Yeah.
where there's nothing bouncing coming towards
Yep.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The Bible says bodily training is beneficial for a little. A brisk walk, yep, or a few minutes of physical exercise may be all that you need to help you fight off the distracting thoughts. At this point, the kids reading this book are just like, they're just so thrilled that their organization, the One True Organization, has come up with this, because it's just enhancing their lives.
Yes.
You know. Oh, above all, don't overlook the help that is available from your Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
Okay. When I feel sexual urges coming on, said one Christian, I really make myself pray. No, God won't take away your interest in the opposite sex, but with His help, you can discover that there are many other things to think about. Well, I don't know. When I was 15, there wasn't much else to think about at all, really.
Yeah. I think when I was 15, I mean, I'd kind of just gotten into boys, you know, and I was a tomboy anyway. I was never a girly girl. But, you know, I just remember thinking, they're quite nice. It's nice looking. But I think I was probably too young and naive anyway to really think about sex. I was too.
Yeah.
You know, I just wasn't. I think I was probably a bit of a late developer, really, a late bloomer. But I just remember thinking, they're nice. He's nice. That's a nice looking boy. There was a guy that I liked that worked at Tesco, and every time I went into Tesco, I used to go out of my way to go onto his till. See? Oh dear, I'm committing a sin there, going out of my way.
Sharon, I think you've committed a lot of sins.
I probably have in my time.
You need to do some more Bible study,
I do.
clearly. Well, I think we've come to the end to this exciting chapter about sex. I think, oh yes, of course, there is also a chapter about homosexuality. How can I avoid homosexuality? Well, don't go to a gay bar.
Precisely, yeah.
Because it's something that can be avoided, you know. So we'll look at that at another time. In the meantime, young Michael, Andrew, Andre, and Poindexter, or whoever it is we were talking to. Scott, yeah, sorry, Scott. They can write in this here, a convenient journal, which of course they will gladly, you know, take this up. What feeling do you find hardest to cope with? How does it affect you? Well, sometimes in my bed, between my legs, I feel that, well, you know.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and my bed has turned into a tent.
Tent.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, what else? How could you use information in this section to help you deal with this feeling in the future? Well, a boy's sexual frustration, how could they use this book? Well, I think I'd want to take it and throw it against the wall with all my might. I mean, that might alleviate some of the sexual frustration.
I probably, yeah.
Or tear it. I mean, it's fairly thick.
It's quite well made, isn't it?
I don't know. I think after even a day of abstinence, I'd need a phone book.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And just to look at some future chapters that we'll look at. We have the problem of recreation as well.
I noticed that it kept off their recreational sex.
Oh.
It's not on there.
Yeah. Well, that goes without saying, Sharon. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think anyone watching this who knows about Jehovah's Witnesses or has grown up Jehovah's Witness will know that this chapter is basically all about how not to have fun. And I do mean, okay, so no video games, no music, no dancing. It's as bad as that movie. What was that movie? Was it not Dirty Dancing, but
not Footloose.
Footloose, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So I guess sports and recreation would go hand in hand, because certain things like music, you can't listen to certain music or do certain dancing because it will make you think about sex.
Okay, so I think that is all we can really do with that chapter in Questions Young People Ask, Volume 2. I wonder if there's a Volume 3. Well, there's plenty of good stuff in this, so we'll just leave it there in the pile for now and go away and make our anti-masturbation journals.